Okay, specific cooldowns. So this is a big one. It's like we already talked about the specific warm ups and not having getting specific with your general warm ups. Now specific cooldowns. Just to put a bit of clarity around why we should do specific cooldowns and how you should think about them if you don't already do it. So it's just a little bit of an insight into it. Alright, so let's get into it. Why? Cooldowns can increase recovery, reduce muscle pain and fatigue. They can also facilitate better performance and or better movement patterns in the following day's workouts. Keep cooldowns short, less than 5 minutes, and if you need or if you feel they need more, prescribe extra for after class. All right, so like they help reset the body, they help reset the mind, they can reduce, as I said, muscle pain and fatigue. So they reduce the pain of DOMs. And yeah, it's just generally nice to get a little bit of a flush out after doing some movement while your body is warm, because generally we can get into better positions after a workout, and then we might be able to regain or hold on to them positions a little bit longer if we use the cool down while the body temperature is really, really high. And then we also increase our performance the next day because we might recover better. Okay. Keep them short, like less than 5 minutes, because generally people, like a lot of people think they're a waste of time, and then a lot of people like them. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag on this one. So if you were to spend 10 minutes a day on a cool down, you might have people in your class who get a little bit annoyed. So I'd like to keep it short, 5 minutes, if even. Sometimes it could be only two, but I'd like to get something thrown in there just to say, here, look, this is going to help you before to recover, and you'll be able to come back in tomorrow feeling a little bit better. All right. So what can we do? Here are some recovery protocols. You do some static stretching. So I'll get into it a little bit more. But static stretching, we've got banded, partner stretches, standing stretches, and seated stretches. There's also some lying stretches. Then there's some dynamic stretching. So dynamic stretching is basically just stretching while moving. So you could do some movement flow. You could do some like static style stretches, but with movement. You could do some like cars. You could do pails and rails. Might be a bit intense for after a workout, but there's different options there. Machines, you could just get them on a machine just to get their body moving again, like jumping on a bike, on a ski, really slow, really easy, and just to get some movement through the joints and the muscles after a tough workout. We can do SMR, so self myofascial release. So we can use, that's like massaging basically. You've heard of foam rolling, but it's foam rolling. You can do it with a barbell, you can do it with a cross ball, you can do it with a kettlebell. There's loads of different objects you can use for SMR depending on the body part that you want to use. And then you can do some technique work. So this is one that I've used quite a bit, and it's actually really useful, because I'm sure everyone notices this, that technique deteriorates in workouts, especially as people get tired. So it's nice to refine some good technical positions after a workout. So let's say, for instance, you've just done Isabel 30 snatches. By the end of Isabel, you're muscling the bar up, catching it with bent arms, hips mute hip, like just really, really bad positions. What you can do then is say, okay, everyone put your barbells away, grab a PVC pipe, and just move through some snatch technique again. And what you'll find is that people will move better, and they'll just refine and reclaim the new positions or the good positions, and they leave feeling like, okay, right, I did a great workout, but also moved well by the end of it. All right, so I like it. It's something different, and it's obviously I don't do it every time. It's like when I feel like, and it's more on the fly. It's more like I see it in front of me. That's after going to shit. Let's get a technique bar. Let's get a PVC pipe, and let's get some movement done. Technique work done, sorry. Okay, breathing. So another one is breathing. So depending on the workout, you can breathe. Breathing just brings the body back to a state of relaxation. The fight or flight mode, you've heard of that. So it's like, let's just get it back into flight. We can relax all the muscles, decompress all the joints. We can do it lying flat on the ground. We can do it lying flat. I like the lying flat on the wall with the feet on the wall. That's lying with the feet on the wall. So I put my back on the ground, my bum right in against the wall, and my feet up high, legs straight, and I just deep breathe, and I just feel like all the sensation down the back of the legs into the lower back just decompresses, relaxes all the muscles, unwind, and I can feel everything kind of lengthen out a little bit. So I really like that one, and I use that one specifically on heavy lifting days. Like, it could be a heavy back squat where your back's getting all compressed. It could be a heavy deadlift where you're pulling off the floor and you might lose a little bit of form in the lower back and the hamstrings are tight. So yeah, I like lying on the floor and breathing, and I could be just lying in that position and breathing for 2 minutes, and it's just chill, just relax. Yeah. Other times you can do that is when it's a really, really high intensity workout and people are absolutely wrecked. You know, everyone just falls on the ground. Well, get them to fall on the ground and crawl over to a wall and throw their feet up, and then just deep breathe there. So like this, as you can see, there's loads of different options here that we can use after classes. So it doesn't need to be the same static stretches, because I know a lot of people just go to static stretches. It doesn't have to just be static stretches, like dynamic stretching machines, self-myofascial release, technique work, breathing. Like, there's loads of different options. So considerations, this is what you got to think about. So make it specific to the workout. Like, if the workout has box jumps, don't do some tricep stretches. You know, don't do the arm across the body, pull it across and stretch the triceps and the shoulders and the chest or whatever. It's like, do some calves or quads or feet or something like that, you know. What were the main muscles used in the session today? So this is it. It's like keeping it specific to the workout, but also what were the main muscles used. So think about what were the main muscles used. So generally in a CrossFit workout, because they're functional movements, you're going to have like legs, arms, shoulders, chest, like everything is probably going to work. But which ones were the main ones? Which ones were taxed more? Which ones are smaller and probably got the same volume as the larger ones, because the smaller ones are going to suffer more? Stuff like that, right? And what could potentially be tight or sore tomorrow? And like we all know, if we do lunges, you're going to have hamstrings and glute pain. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to hamstrings and glutes. Would it be more beneficial to move or stay static? And that's up to you, and that's dependent on how you feel, how you see your athletes respond to the workout. And like, a lot of the times I will make my cool downs up on the fly. I won't plan them. I'll just see what way the workout is going, because every group is different, and I'll just give the majority of the group what they need. But I'll have some ideas in my head of what are the main muscles, what types of things can we do, and then is it more beneficial to move, like get on a machine, do some dynamic stretching, static stretching, lie on the floor and breathe. Like, I'll figure it out as the workout's happening. I'll be paying attention to this and then figuring out what it is. But I'll have some things in the back of my mind going in. And how are they feeling? So same thing. How are they feeling after the workout? What are they going to be capable for? So like, if they're absolutely dead and they're lying on the floor, they're not going to want a static stretch, because it's just, it could be a hard position to hold. Or a dynamic stretch, it might be too much effort, you know. So I got to think about what do they actually want to do? Like, what would I want to do if I just finished a workout like that and I want to just feel good before I leave again? What would I want to do? So then that's what I do with them. Alright, constructing a cool down. What were the main muscles used in the session today? These are the questions you ask yourself, and this is how you then figure out what you're going to do. What would be the best recovery protocol for that muscle? Prescribe a time domain for recovery and do something different than the last time. Don't do the same thing every time. And what I mean by that is not, like, for example, you could have running on Tuesday, double unders on Wednesday, and box jumps on Thursday. Right? And if you're doing them three things, it's the same lower body muscles that are being taxed, right? So you got the soles of the feet. Don't forget the soles of the feet. That's a lovely one. Get a ball in there. And the calves, right? So if the soles and the feet or calves are taking a hammering for 3 days straight, you could potentially do the same stretch or the same release on all three. You could, but I recommend that you don't. All right. And what I also want you to think about is not just the 3 days in a row. Think about, we had running last Tuesday and I did X. We have running this Friday. I'm not doing X again. I'm going to do Y this time. And it's just try and keep it different every time you do the same movements. All right. And then if you vary it every day because the workout is different, and then you vary it every time the same movements appear and the same muscle groups appear, then you're just going to keep your cool downs very varied as well. And it just it keeps it more interesting, and people aren't just bored of standing there. Oh, I'll do this, yeah. Because they're the go-to things that I've seen for years. So you used to see these stretches all the time. It's like this, it's across the body, it's behind the back, and then you're done. And it's either you do that or you don't do anything. I'm like, come on, get creative, do something different. There's a list of things there. Just dive into that world and see, okay, what can we actually do? And the more you experiment and the more you try, the more things you'll start to realize what works and what doesn't. If you don't experiment, you'll never know. Like, it doesn't matter if you get it wrong. At least you tried something different. So don't be afraid to experiment with it. All right, so let's have a look at a few workouts here, and I'll tell you what I would probably potentially do after class, right? So clean and jerks for time, or Isabel. Like, so I mentioned Isabel with the let's get a PVC pipe and let's get some good movement going. So I'll probably do the same with the clean and jerks, right, with Grace, because the technique generally goes out the window. It's low volume. It's only 30 reps. It's only going to be 2 to 5 minutes of a workout. They're not going to be that taxed. The muscles aren't going to be that sore, potentially, right? So obviously I'm talking very, very generically here, right? So technique work might be the thing, okay? 5 rounds for time. Sorry, we're into Kelly here, the one in the middle. Run 400 meters, 30 box jumps, 30 wall ball shots. All right, so 400 meter run, you've got predominantly calves and hamstrings, right? Maybe soles of feet. Box jumps, same again. You've got calves, soles of the feet, and maybe a bit of quads, right? And then 30 wall ball shots, you've got quads and maybe glutes, a little bit of shoulder. So if I'm thinking about at the end of that workout what's going to be more tired, it could be worthwhile going after the soles of the feet or the calves. Okay, so then you got to decide, well, that's what the muscle group is. What am I going to do? What haven't I done? I'd probably get a ball, and I'd lacrosse ball, and I'd take the shoes off, I'd roll the soles of the feet, and I'll go into the calves and spin a minute on each. And there we are, we're done. All right, that's enough. We don't need to get into too much more, and we just leave it at that. Okay. Top right hand corner, we got back squats. It's 5 sets of 3. It's for load. Right, so we're going heavy that day. So like I said, potentially a bit of decompression through the spine. Be nice. You could do dead hang. Just get them to dead hang for 3 sets of 20 seconds. Go over, lie on the floor. You could do some static stretching, maybe pigeon stretch or something like that. Yeah, so a little bit of, I like on the heavy days a bit of spinal decompression. So a hang or lie on the floor with the feet on the wall. So that they'd be my 2 go-tos. And then if I've overused that, like, how often does a heavy day come up? Like a heavy back squat day, it's like it depends. Like if we're talking true CrossFit, it's probably once a month. If you're talking strength and conditioning style training, it could be a little bit more often, but try and vary that as much as you can. Down the bottom left we have 90 burpees to a target, 45 bar muscle ups. So the key muscle groups here that would be overused would be the triceps and the chest. Alright, so if you've got all the burpees, you got 90 burpees of pushing from the floor, that's chest and triceps, and then you've got bar muscle ups. So if you want to get on top of the bar and lock out the elbows, you've got to use the triceps and the chest again, right? So they'd be the muscles that would be most taxed and feeling it the most the next day. So they'd be the ones that I do a little bit of work on. You could probably do like a static stretch, like a door opener stretch, hand on the rig, turn the body away. You could do that on a wall. You could do it with a partner. You can get them to hold each other's hands in this position here, hand and elbow touching each other, and then turn away from each other. So what else could you do? You could do some self-myofascial release, and then you could get a ball or a kettlebell into the side of the chest, into the pec. Okay, so you can see this, thinking about the muscle groups that are going to be overworked is the thing to do, and then potentially which ones could be sore, and then straight, okay, how do I attack them muscles best? And then, okay, we've got Helen, 3 rounds of time, 400 swings, 21 kettlebell swings, 400 meter run, 21 kettlebell swings, 12 pull-ups. So the main muscles taxed here, I would say, are lats and forearms. So kettlebell swings, you might use your lats a little bit. Like, I know you can kettlebell swing without engaging the lats too much, but they will be used at some point if you don't want the kettlebell to fall out of your hands and go between your legs. And then they'll be used again on the pull-ups. And then the grip from the 21 kettlebell swings into the 12 pull-ups gets a bit grippy. So what I would do is probably do a self-myofascial release barbell on the forearms. So lying down, partner each end of the bar, get the bar, roll it along the forearm here, turn the hand over, roll it along the back of the forearm, and that can just give us a nice little bit of a feeling through the hands, and help relieve that grip a little bit more. And if you really wanted, you could go into a lat stretch. You could do that banded, you could do it on the floor. You could do like kind of down dog kind of stretches, prayers. I don't know, like, yeah, down dog I think is universal, so I think everyone understands what that is. But kind of opening up the shoulder, pressing the head through, then you can tilt to the side and just move around and try and feel the lats a little bit more. You could go arm on a wall, press the armpit in against the wall kind of thing. Like, you can do different stretches that way, or you can just get some movement going through the shoulders, some shoulder cars, and stuff like that. So loads of different options, but it's being conscious of, well, what are the key muscle groups being used today, which ones are going to be taxed the most, and can I spend 2 to 3 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes on each muscle, or 1 to 2 minutes on each body part, leg, arm, whatever it is, and just give them a little bit, just a little tiny bit, just to help the recovery, and then try and keep it as varied as possible. Okay, so your homework, what stood out for you most in this session? What I want you to do now is I want you to construct a cool down and send it to me for feedback. So I need to know what the workout is, and then I need to know what the cool down is, and then I need to know why have you chosen this cool down. So for example, like I mentioned here, on the burpees, bottom left, 90 burpees to a target, 45 bar muscle ups. Like, I'm choosing a cool down to stretch the pecs and the triceps. Why am I doing that? Because they're going to be the muscles that are most used, pushing off the floor and locking out in the bar muscle up. All right. Okay, and then I want to take a video of your class mid cool down and post it to your Instagram stories, tagging me at Coach to Coach. All right, so take a video of your class mid cool down and post it to your Instagram stories. All right, job done. Specific cool downs.